So yeah. Oh, yeah. So I've been doing a bit of that, and yeah. So it's been a productive week. I'm enjoying it, and I've been looking forward to speaking about our topic this
Oh,
week as well.
fantastic. Wow, the topics today again is about limiting beliefs. But I must stop here for a minute. Danny's going to talk to us about cryptocurrency trading as well. We will be running a workshop on that because we know there are men out there currently who probably are not working, that need extra income coming in. So we would be looking at kind of topics like that. And I'm super excited because Danny's going to run a workshop on that. But today we are going to be looking at limiting beliefs. All right. How does that impact and affect us bringing up our children? Okay. So Danny, take it away.
Yeah, it's a huge topic, and we were kind of going to introduce it last week, weren't we? We had it in our schedule. We're going to talk a lot more about limiting beliefs, but we figured, we didn't talk as much about it as we would have liked. So now we're going to have talk about it now. But yeah, so what actually is a limiting belief? Because you hear about it all the time, especially if you've been in the self-development community, in the personal growth community, you'll hear about these things called limiting beliefs, which are basically, they're just repeated thought patterns that we think over and over again, which we've attached our energy to. So stuff that we really believe in, thoughts that we really think are absolutely 100% real, and we're no way we're going to think that they're wrong or anything like that, because and they will limit us in some way. They will stop us from growing, they will stop us from expanding, these limiting beliefs. And they can also affect the perception we have of our world, how we view others, how we view our own abilities, hence the word limiting. And they'll affect our growth and our relationships. And when we start to sort of look at them deeply and we start to examine them, then we start to question them, and we can break them down. We can break them down to more impactful into sort of beliefs which actually support us and help us grow, rather than beliefs that sort of stop us from growing. So Margaret, do you think what kind of sort of limiting beliefs do you think have you come across in the single fathers you've worked with that have attended your workshops? I'm just curious as to what kind of beliefs they've carried.
Quite a lot, because sometimes the limiting beliefs as it comes along, it could be also from the past, what has been said to you as well, that really holds us back a lot. For example, when I was running the training in the workshop, which was a business startup for men, and it was called Get Your Life Back on Track and in Business. And the whole thing was, it's targeting the men. Okay, here you are today. This is what's happening, and where do you want to go? Most of the stuff that really came out, it was things that's been said to them, from their parent, from their upbringing. That had a lot of impact, a lot of them, in making the decision that they supposed to have made. But one of the things that really touched my heart, it was a guy who's been married for such a long time. And throughout his marriage, the wife would say to him, "Oh, you're not good enough. Do you think you're a man? If you think you're a man, you shouldn't be doing this." It was a whole heap of things that came out. And that really impacted him a lot. And gradually, he kind of began to take that on. And I think when you've been in a relationship for 5, 10 years, 11 years, and your partners keep saying to you, particularly attacking your manhood, kind of not having respect for you, that really impacts the decisions that that you going to make when you separate or when you're with them. And I find that because of those things being said to him time and time again, it kind of lost a lot of confidence in making certain decisions. And that becomes limiting beliefs, because when you've been questioned, do you think you're a man enough? Or do you think you're a man? He ended up carrying that throughout making decisions, and but through the coaching, through the mentoring, and it was able to unravel it, how to feel it. But I think a lot of things that's been said to us that has a lot of impact to us, and that was one of the limiting belief that guy was carrying around, that he didn't think he was man enough.
Yeah, and that's a big one. And I remember attending a sort of men's circle, and when we were the guy that was running the circle asked, there was probably about 60 men in this circle, and literally we all went in a circle, and the guy went through each man and asked them, what do you believe about yourself? And each man would say something, and anyone that agreed would raise their hand. Yeah, so the man would know he's not alone. And the thing that came for me at the time was, I'm not man enough. And that is exactly it. I'm not man. I'm not like a, and I thought when it came around to me, I was going to be the only one that would say that. No, and literally half of a man raised their hand saying, yeah, I have that as well, which was really surprising for me, that a lot of men carry this belief that I'm not man enough. And this is just one limiting belief, but there's so many others. There's like I'm not good enough. I'm not good with money, or people don't listen to me. Yeah. Or my wife doesn't listen to me, or my child doesn't listen. Anything which puts a limit. Yeah. And puts you in a less empowered state, is a limiting belief. It's just basically a thought pattern that is repeated again and again, which you may have taken on from your past. It may not even be yours, right? And it's men, women, we all have these limiting beliefs, and it's just really seeing how they are impacting our lives. So when you have a belief, for example, that I am not good with business, I'm not a businessman, that belief, when repeated over and over again, will limit you from actually starting a business, because you won't have the belief that you can start it. So when you think about starting it, you'll be faced with that limiting beliefs, whenever you grow, you start to be faced with your limiting beliefs. Yeah.
Can I just take you a little bit? So, because one of the interesting things, how did you overcome the issue? You said in the circle, there's quite a few men that put up their hand and says, well, actually, I feel that I'm not man enough. How did you kind of come up with the solution to move forward, to say, actually, that's what you think about me, but that's not how I feel about me? How did you overcome that? And how did some of the men that was in the circle feel, and where did it came from?
Okay, so I mean, where it comes from is different from each individual. So this may be programmed by the sort of environment, your a father figure, or even a mother figure, or like you say, from a ex-partner. For me, it was more to do with, because I was quite a sensitive soul. So like as a boy, so I said I cried easily, and then and I took that to mean that I'm not man enough. Yeah. And it was actually when I understood that, by clearing my emotion and crying and releasing my grief, that made me into a stronger man. That made me into a stronger individual. Now, that's not to say I've completely dissolved that feeling of I'm not man enough, because, you know, there's a lot of things, you know, there's a lot of energy, like sort of, you know, started a business. I've done a lot of things like that, which, you know, took me outside my comfort zone. But really looking at the limiting belief, and actually just connecting with it and seeing, feeling it, and understanding, you know what, you know, the perception of what it means to be a man now for me is different. You know, when I was a young kid, it was like, you know, anyone that would cry, you know, would be seen as someone who's not a man. Yeah. But now my perception has changed around that, and to understand that clearing your emotions is a very positive thing. And I was able to get in touch with this limiting belief and question the validity of it. You know,
where it came from.
Sorry?
Where it was coming from, or the person who was saying it to you.
Yeah, how do I know that whoever said it to me was right? And inevitably, if they said it with some sort of emotion, sort of angry emotion or a certain emotion, then that emotion would have obscured their vision of me. Yeah. So whenever we communicate from a foundation of emotion, we're upset, we're annoyed, whatever the emotion is, we don't see clearly. Yeah. So the interpretations we make from that point of view are obscured. So we create, you know, we may pass on these strong thoughts to people, and then if those, you know, as young children, we're open to these thoughts, we're very sort of easily influenced. We may take it on board because we take on the emotional energy on board, because a belief or a thought that is said to us will have no impact if we're not emotionally invested in it.
Okay, that's also like the key thing. Sorry about that. The key thing that you said, it's if that person is saying to you, you're not man enough, and he said through anger, then it's kind of very damaging, isn't it?
Yeah, it depends on the emotional connection we have to the words that they say. If we really take it on board and we're open, we're like, you know, completely believe this person, we trust them, you know, we've had a strong connection with them, and they keep saying these things, you know, and it's keep repeating to us, and it must be right. It's like sort of becoming ingrained at a deeper level within us, and then to actually then at a later time to start to question that, it's tough. And this happens at a sort of a family level as well. So for example, you'll notice that certain families carry these limiting beliefs, and certain cultures do. Like for example, there's you know, in the Polish, what would we say, in the Polish culture, it's all about, a lot of the times, and it depends on each individual family, of course, but a lot of the times it's about scarcity. We don't have enough. Yeah, there is never enough, or you have to work hard to be able to earn lots of money.
Okay.
Money doesn't grow on a tree. That's another one. We've
heard
that all the time.
I've heard that a lot. Money don't grow on a tree. When you ask your mom, do you think money's grow on a tree? You know, but another thing for me, I just want to address this matter a little bit when it comes to us as women, or in a relationship, in a marriage. I just want to really say to the women out there, let's respect our men, you know, let's respect them and start saying that you're not man enough, you know, because it does impact them a great deal. Let's support them and respect our men in there. I just come back with another question to you. I know this is all about limiting beliefs, but I don't think we talk about limiting beliefs. We have to bring in respect as well. What is the importance of kind of respecting our men as well? How does that impact their beliefs as well when they're not being respected in the relationships or in their work life? how does that impact in their limiting beliefs as well?
Yeah, I mean, we all want to be respected. Yeah, but if someone doesn't give us respect, then at some level that will impact a deep-seated belief within us that is triggered, another limiting belief.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, at some level, it's important to be authentic, and it's important to support our partners and to understand that everyone is at the best place that they can, that everyone is doing their best with the tools that they have at their disposal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they're being difficult, they're not, even if, for example, they're not doing everything you would like them to do, they're still doing the best with the tools that they have. Yeah. With the, you know, the circumstances they're faced in their lives. And it's important to understand that. And in understanding that, then we can give the respect again for being a human being, for being a man, you know. And I think if you can be open-minded to say, okay, you know what, I want to support, you know, whether it's, you know, my son, whether it's my partner, I want to support them in becoming the best version of themselves. Yeah. I may not agree with how they're doing things. Yeah. But I can support them in growing and to encourage them to grow. And, you know, rather than saying things like, oh, you know, you're lazy, you're like, you know, you're not doing, you're not a good father, or anything like that, saying, you know, saying things like, you know, if, you know, I support you in becoming the best father that you can be. You know, anytime you want to spend time, you know, looking at things, I can help you to do that. And, you know, just to support in that way, to encourage them. So then, you know, and what may come up is that they begin to notice, or we begin to notice, what our limiting beliefs are. Because when you're supported to follow, for example, your dreams, when you go towards your dreams, you will face your limiting beliefs. You will face the parts of you that doubt your ability to do things. Yeah.
Wow, that is so interesting. But do you also feel sometimes we as parents, or you as a father, would your limiting beliefs impact your child as a father, as a single father?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, 100%.
In what way?
Well, in pretty much everyone. Like, let's say, for example, you have a deep-seated belief that almost everyone carries at some level, that I'm not good enough. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not good enough. So that I'm not good enough, because let's say we were told that, or I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. Then if you believe you're not good enough, then at some level that your world is going to start to mirror that. So, you know, you may find that your ex will start saying to you, or will start saying to you, look, you're not, you know, you don't see your kid, you know, like, you don't, you know, you should, you don't listen to them, you don't communicate with them. And then all of a sudden, this I'm not good enough is really going to start to magnify. And then you'll think, oh, I'm not a good father, I can't, my child isn't listening to me, you know, I'm trying to communicate, and all of that, you know, I'm not good enough, will basically create your reality. Yeah, where the world reflects to you that belief, I am not good enough, I'm not a good father, I'm not a good, and so you will start to, you won't believe in yourself. Yeah, and you won't feel connected to your child. Whereas if you have a belief is like, I am a good father, you know, you know, I know deep down that I love my child deeply. And yeah, then when you have that belief, then even if things get difficult, you still believe that you are a good father, and you will start, and this is where your actions come from. You'll start to listen more, you know. But if you believe you're not, let's say you're not good enough, you're not a good father, then you're less likely to do the actions that create that really positive relationship. But when you have that good positive belief, then you'll do the opposite. You'll become a good father. It's just like self-fulfilling prophecy.
So
That's why
really,
it's important to question them. Question your beliefs.
So really, it's kind of look at your mindset and kind of challenge your mindset and see where that beliefs has come from. So like we've established, some of it could be from your upbringing, what your parent used to say to you as well. You know, remember last week we look at men don't cry, because how that really impacts us a lot, how it impacts men a lot and everything like that. And also, again, what your partner's saying to you. So it's really find out and identify where those limiting beliefs comes from and begin to work with them. Yeah,
exactly. And it's about being aware of those beliefs, of the repeated patterns that you think to yourself over and over again. Yeah.
So how could they when you have that limiting beliefs and everything, and how could they overcome that limiting beliefs? What steps can they take to help them, one, to identify the limiting beliefs, and secondly, what steps can they put to overcome it and to become these amazing fathers?
Yeah, I mean, often for me, what really helped me to see my limiting beliefs was just periods of silence, of meditation, where sometimes during meditation you'd have the same, patterns over and over again, and then you'll notice the thoughts that are running around in your head around yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And another point is the challenges that come up in our lives. So it may be that often things happen in our lives to show us what is hidden within us. So so a partner going towards us and saying you're not good enough, that their words would bring up some emotions for us that may be happening not because it's we're the victim, but because at a deeper level that's what we believe about ourselves. And that individual is coming into our experience to show us what is hidden, what we don't want to look at. That deep down we believe we're not good enough. Yeah. Because if we didn't have a belief of I'm not good enough, let's say, for example, I'm using this one, but it could be a number of ones. And then someone came into our lives and said to us, look, Daniel, you're useless, you're terrible. If we weren't carrying the belief I'm not good enough, we would not be affected by what they said. Yeah. If we are affected by what someone tells us, then deep down we are carrying that belief. Yeah. So if someone says something negative towards us and we're affected by it, then deep down we must have a similar belief, about ourselves. Otherwise, we couldn't have an emotional charge towards them. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does, because it's already inside you, and then somebody just come and say it, and then just kind of bring that up, and maybe also, bring that up.
Yeah, it brings it up into our conscious awareness, and now. But the problem is we have at that point is we're saying, calling us these names that have been, and it's not understanding the reason we get upset is because at some level we have the same belief about ourselves, which is just hidden, which we've pushed down, we don't want to look at. So, and that person has come into our life to bring it up. Now, if we never had that belief, then we wouldn't need to attract someone into our lives like that. Yeah.
So kind of what can the men out there who is carrying the limiting beliefs, I think is a huge one, because this did come up. I know we're repeating it, but it did come up a lot in the training when we're training, the men feeling that they weren't good enough, being said to them and kind of hindering them, even making the slightest decisions. For example, I had a guy, we were just having a conversation after the training finished. We were just having a conversation. He's worked so hard, really hard, to kind of have shared custody with their child. So again, that really impacts his health as well. Impact his health, impact his business, as well as trying to make simple decisions, as trying to find a place comfortable enough, spacious enough, so that he can start having the children coming over. But because he was used at having like a 3 or 4 bedroom house, and now, because obviously a lot of the time we don't talk about, when separation comes, the man has to leave the home. You know, even though they've been paying the mortgage and all kind of things, they actually have to leave the home. And that really impacts the man. Although he's won the custody, and this, as he was fighting to have custody of his children, he was sleeping rough in terms of he was staying with friends, couch, moving from one place to another place. And then we had the conversation. I said, well, why don't you just go out and rent there? And one of the things he says is the fear. You know, the fear was it how he was going to cope enough as a man to be able to look after his children and to be able to do the cooking, because all he had done throughout that time was provide. You know, he ran some successful business and everything like that. And just to make the decision to buy another small property, it was a massive, huge issue for him. And we had to go through, what I did then, I had to go through step by step with him, through the coaching, through the talking, through the conversation, to say, okay, you've only got 2 children, so don't look at getting a 4 bedroom because that's what you're used to, a bigger house and everything. What about you just get kind of a smaller place and everything, 3 bedroom, for example. So you're comfortable. The days you have the kids, you know, it's nice and cozy. And at the same time, because one of the biggest worried for him as well was, oh, what happened when the kids are gone back? I'm going to be in this place on my own. You know, so then I had to look at all the steps to say, okay, yes. And how does that make you feel? You know, so yeah.
Yeah, and that's when you know, when you're alone, you're faced again, you know, we mentioned it about you're faced with all your emotions when you're alone, and that's when you may notice some of the limiting beliefs you have. But I think to be able to change them really deeply, your limiting beliefs, you have to notice them, and you notice them by, you know, the world around you, by what people repeat to you, you know, what you regularly hear, and your thoughts, the constant thoughts that you have replaying. But it's really important to understand, to actually change a really deep-seated limiting belief requires a tremendous amount of will, because when you are, a lot of the times these limiting beliefs are ingrained in us when we're young children. And the younger we are, the more open and receptive we are to the things people say to us. So when we are, let's say, I think from 0 to 3, our brain is in something called the delta state, our brain wave, you know, our brain's in the delta state. From 3 to 7, I think it's theta, and then alpha from 14 onwards, and then beta, I think, yeah. Now, when we're speaking at the moment, we're in beta. When we're thinking, we're in beta. When we're thinking, we're very angry, we're in high beta. Now, in order to change a limiting belief that happened when we were 3 or 4 years of age, when our brain is in delta and theta state, we have to take our brain wave back to the same state it was at when we made the belief. So we're in beta now. So and the way we do that is through meditation, or going deeply into ourselves. So when we're in meditation, we take our brainwave. It's possible to take our brainwave into deeper states where it starts to shift into like the alpha, then theta, then delta. And at that point, we can make the change in our belief. But it's almost impossible to do that when you're constantly thinking, because you're not receptive to, you're not open to a new way of being. Yeah. So you have to take yourself into that state where you are open to that new way of being. You are open. But when you do that, all the stuff may come up, all your old belief patterns, all your emotions, all the memories that may come up.
Yeah.
And if we attach ourselves emotionally to that, yeah, and start to believe them, then we're back in the old state. So we have to detach ourselves and go into that deep state, allow all of that emotional energy, those visions, those memories coming back, and just understand that they're just experiences that happen to us. They don't mean anything about us. And when we can go to that deeper state and really feel into that, then we'll see there's a new possibility of thinking, a new belief that we can have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and emerging. I mean, also that is really great as well. So for those of us out there who are Christian, prayer is an amazing thing as well. Pray about the issues and write them down. Another thing I want to say out there, it's when we're talking about limiting beliefs, like for example, now we begin to identify where it's coming from and how it's impacting us. And particularly when you're going through the journey, looking at your limiting beliefs, it can be very painful, incredibly painful. When you want to bring those changes in so you can have that better life, it is a journey, but I would say to you, take one step at a time. Daniel been sharing, him going through the journey, some of those issues coming up from him through the meditation and looking at them and begin to work through them. And I really agree and identify that. For me, again, this is all about limiting beliefs. It affects everybody, whether you're a man, woman, a young child, an adult. When you take the journey to say, I want to work through my limiting beliefs, I no longer want to be where I am today. I no longer want to carry this pain. I no longer want to carry what people have been saying to me. And you start that journey, and that journey can be lonely and can be very painful. But I want to say to you, don't give up. For example, when I was writing my very first book, which is Elephant in My Stomach instead of Butterflies, although a lot of you tend to see the other book more. That book, it took me into deeper place, and the pain was so much as I was reading the book, because throughout my journey, I was carrying these limiting beliefs, and which when I'm working with men, I can actually see that limiting beliefs when they're talking. And one of them was, I'm not good enough, because somebody else said that to me. All right, you're not going to amount to anything. And maybe somebody else has said that to you as a man as well. All right, could be from your parent and everything, because what we say, what our parents say to us has a massive impact to us, like you rightfully say. It depends on what age it is. And for me, with that deep journey of writing that book, but at the same time, as I pushed through completing the book, a new person emerged from that, a new person who was confident. I let go of the limiting beliefs I've been carrying, things that have been said to me. When I let go through those things, go through the painful journey and say that actually all those things, you've just been carrying them, they are not who you are. I started to see the difference. And also, this is a journey that I take through some of the men that I work with, because some of them are too scared to go through that journey. They don't want to visit that pain. But I would say to you, do. It's not going to be easy, but do take the step. If you're a Christian person, a prayerful person, pray that God gives you the grace and everything. If you're somebody who takes time out like Daniel to meditate and go deep inside, again, that is really good as well. But the great thing about it, do not longer carry those limiting beliefs because they're not yours. Those are things that people project to you, so you don't have to carry them. What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, I remember like one of the limiting beliefs, a big limiting belief I had, and this was when I started my first business, was that I'm not a salesperson. Yeah. So I've always thought, start a business, you have to know how to sell. That's one of the things that's really important. And I always had this idea, and this is a limiting belief. Another more of my limiting beliefs around underneath the umbrella of I'm not a salesperson is that salespeople are brash, salespeople are pushy, salespeople are good talkers, salespeople are manipulative, and these were all of these limiting beliefs I had about salespeople. Now, one thing that I've always been good at, and this is a less limiting belief, is the fact that I love learning. So I read everything there was when I started my business. I read everything there was to know about sales, and what I discovered is that selling was nothing like I thought it was. Yeah. Sales was really about communication and getting to know the person in front of you and understanding what it is they need. Yeah. And that was really sales. And then at some level, seeing if what you have to offer matches with what they need. And if it does, then you just communicate what you have and to them. Yeah. But it's all about listening. And when I found that out, I was like, oh my God, I can sell. And then my belief changed to I'm a very good salesperson.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I started presenting in a way very professionally for my business. These sales proposals where I spent time doing them. I love doing them. Actually, I got to really to enjoy going there and meeting potential clients and presenting them. But when I got to that place, what I was faced with was a deeper limiting belief, which had more to do with my self-worth and being good enough. So I'm not a good salesperson was a more of a superficial, belief. But then as you go, you start to see these deeper self-belief. Well, I'm not good enough, not as a salesperson, but as an individual, as a human being. So it's even more deeply ingrained. And those limiting beliefs are the ones that were ingrained into us when we were, when we were 4, 5, 6 years of age, when we were very young, and we were told these thoughts by our parents, and especially, in our generation. It's like, you're not good enough. You know what I'm talking about, Margaret, don't you?
Yeah, that one I definitely identified that a great deal, because I remember sharing my journey and my story with some of the guys there, because I really deeply wanted to connect with them to say, look, all right, I know you guys, our journey as a single parent is very similar, and also our journey as a human being is incredibly very similar at the same time. So I believe it has a lot of difference to that. But again, I really love what you said, because I was smiling as you were talking. And the reason I'm smiling is I'm currently at the moment saying, oh my God, how am I going to do this? The talk show, particularly when I was setting up this talk show, kind of coming out for the first time, as you know, and we're still trying to figure it out. One of the things was, oh my God, you've never done a talk show before. How are you going to do that? And when you go through the journey, it's going to listen to you. It's going to watch you. And I believe everybody out there pretty much may have gone through this journey. But one thing I learned, just do it. And you can see the shaking side of us starting. I will get that right one day. But one of the key things you said about business and the limiting beliefs, it's huge. It has a huge impact a lot as well, because I'm kind of at the moment working through, okay, how do I market all this program? How do I do it? And I'm not good at it. I still say that, guys, and I am working on it. But the great thing about it, that I believe, just do it. Yes, this is how you feel. This is how the fear is telling you, just step out and do it.
Yeah. And but often the fear stops us. I have a friend of mine, and she has a huge limiting belief about her ability with numbers. Yeah. I'm not good. She always says to me, I'm not good with my numbers. I'm not good with numbers. Yeah. And I speak with her and I say to her, look, there's some cryptocurrency projects that you could invest in. But she's like, I'm not good with numbers. Yeah. And as soon as she says that, she's blocking off her ability to see potentially something that could be lucrative. Now, you don't know, you're not 100% sure, but you're blocking off your ability to do that. And she's limiting her earning capacity because she's carrying this belief that she's not good with numbers. And she doesn't, in my opinion, she doesn't need to be that good with numbers to understand it. She just needs to understand very basic things. But because she has that belief, she's not even open to the possibility of looking at it. And that is huge. It's like, it limits. It limits a lot.
It's a great thing that you actually pointed out that, because if she would have started, yes, I can do it, the whole thing, you would have found a solution to be able to handle that problem and to be able to do that. Right, we're almost coming to our show here. It's been amazing talking with you, Daniel. Is there any tips that you can give to our fathers or to people out there who are struggling with limiting beliefs, practical steps that they can use to overcome, to take that first step of setting up their business? Or
I think it's firstly, number one, notice them. Notice what you're carrying. That's the first step. You have to be able to notice where you are at in order to change it. Yeah. And then take gradual steps. So a limiting belief is really just it's something which isn't true. Yeah. So change perhaps your thoughts to something which is more aligned with the truth. So something like, I'm not good with money, may change to something like, if I learn, I will become better with money. Yeah. Okay. That's more empowering than I'm not good with money, or I'm not good with numbers. If I study, I will become better with numbers. I will become better. Yeah. That's a more empowering belief. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
And it's still based on the truth. To say I'm good with money when you don't feel it, yeah, people may not be on board with that. I'm good with money, but I don't feel good with money. So say, but if I learn, if I study, and I study a little bit each day, then I will become good with money. Yeah. And that then gives you the energy to have that motivation to do that. So yeah, just be more in alignment with a more empowered truth.
Of you being you. All right. It's not going to be easy to overcome those limiting beliefs. For example, I love what you talked about, the money side of things, because start doing budgeting. I'm not good with money, but I'm going to do budgeting. I know definitely when I kind of lost all my businesses, and I realized I wasn't good with money, because I never had to be accountable for it, because I'm always going to, if I get up and I open the shop, I'm going to bring that money in. And so I never really had to think. And then I realized I had to budget. So again, if you feel that you're not, and you're bringing up 2 children and you're running a home, don't be afraid to budget. Don't budget on the head, write it down. All right, write it down. Another thing I just want to suggest here as well, those are great suggestion points. Can I add a few more on that, please? So one of the things you need to do, set a goal. Doesn't have to be a big goal. You've identified what your limiting beliefs are, where they're coming from. Like Daniel really gave an amazing example. He felt he wasn't good at marketing and at selling and the thing, you know, but he was willing to learn. He went and studied about it, read it, and then find out, oh, actually, it's all in my head, you know? So set goals, take one day at a time, one step at a time, and spend time with you, work deep inside with you, because you are bringing up children. It does impact and affect our children, what we do, how we feel, how we make decisions, and things we say to them as well. Now, you got to remember what things being said to you by your parent, how it hurts you and everything, and how it held you back. So now you need to look at yourself and change that as well. But definitely set goals, take one day at a time, one step at a time. But the most important thing is single fathers, men out there, ask for help. And hopefully we will be covering that later on, how you can ask for help and get support, because that came out a lot when I was running the men's workshops, you know. So ask for help, for support. It is okay for you to do so. All right. We are here, the Father Talk Show. My name is Margaret Thorley.
My name is Daniel Dzikowski. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure, as always, Margaret.
And definitely, it's been a pleasure talking to you as well. We are going to have some amazing talk show coming in next week. Next week, we're going to look at healthy eating. As much as we're talking about mindsets and everything, confident building, the emotional side of it, we also have to support it with healthy eating as well, and also with our children. So that way we give them a really good grounding skills that they can stand and know how to look after themselves. So we'll be covering healthy eating on that. We're also going to be covering about, I'm looking forward to this one. I don't know about you, Danny, but I'm definitely looking forward to this. How to navigate in negative thoughts and beliefs in relationships, so we can have a better relationship with our ex and the children. So stay in tune. I look forward to seeing you. Oh, sorry, one thing, we are going to have training programs coming up as well. Very soon. We will let you know when that would be. But thank you so much, listening to us, being with us, supporting us, my friend.
Yes,
Danny.
thank you, everyone, and thank you, Margaret. And next week, we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week. Have an amazing week. The Father Talk Show. Thank you.